Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a principal engineer at the Financial Times, and I am the tech lead for the content platform there. I'm going to talk about nudge theory, which is a theory from behavioural science and economics, and as the name suggests, it talks about using nudges to influence behaviour. So what is a nudge? Well, it's essentially a means of encouraging or guiding behaviour. It's about influencing rather than enforcing. So it's the equivalent of the difference between putting up a no littering sign and fining people versus putting lots of litter bins out and saying, you know, it's nice if we all throw things away. This is kind of the canonical example. It's a urinal at Schiphol Airport. The little black speck is a fly. It's actually a picture of a fly. It is in exactly the right place to avoid splashback. It turns out if you put a target, people aim for it, and the cleaning costs are reduced by 20%. This is another example, Transport for London during the Olympics and Paralympics. They knew there'd be a lot of extra people travelling. So they put posters up and they handed out walking maps and they encouraged you to avoid the main stations because they said you might have to queue for half an hour to get onto the tube. Now, I go to London Bridge to go to work. This is actually what it looked like on the first rush hour of the Olympics. Everyone just changed what they were doing. So these kind of nudges can work, but why am I talking about them at a DevOps conference? Well, basically, I think if you're going to do DevOps properly, you want your teams to be empowered. You want them to own their system completely and not hand it over to someone else to operate. But if you're going to wake me up at 2 in the morning, it had better be for a database that I chose. But as a company, I'm not sure I really want to have vast numbers of different technologies because it's actually really difficult for people to move between teams, and actually it's costly. If every team effectively does the same thing, it's a really high cost for you. So we want people to do common things, but we can't tell them that they have to do it, so can we just nudge them? Well, that's where nudge theory comes in. So there's a couple of ideas that you can use to approach this. The first thing is to make stuff easy. We're very big fans of sticking with the default, which is why opt-in versus opt-out makes a big difference for people signing up for pensions. So if you pick a good default and you make it easy, people will use it. It has to be painful for people to opt out. So this is an engineering checklist that we have at the FT. It's one place to go to find out all the things we want you to do to make a working application. And it tells you what you need to do, not how you're going to do it, but it also provides you with tooling and defaults that will help you with this. So one of these is about change logs. This is the API to programmatically say what changes we've made in production. We used to do this in Salesforce. We did 2,200 releases last year. It would have taken us 53 days to enter that in Salesforce. This is programmatic. So we just saved ourselves 53 days with my team. You want things to be attractive. So there's two aspects. You want people to be attracted to them so they know it's possible, and you want them to be something where people say, that's going to give me a benefit. So basically, people are very good at looking at short-term costs and benefits. They're not very good at looking long-term. So you need to sell what it gives them right now. We have a health check standard at the FT. If you make a request to __health, you get back a well-known response. We have libraries to make it easy for all of the main languages that we use. But the real advantage if you do it is there's lots of tooling around it. So there's a nice Chrome plugin to format it for humans. You can aggregate that. And if you want to add it to an operational status board, it's really, really simple. So it's attractive to do this because it gives you a lot of benefits. So the next thing to think about is social. Look at people's reactions to what other people do. We are very influenced by our peers. If you send out a tax return letter that says 97% of people fill in their tax return on time, the recipient's much more likely to do it. As a government, that can save you vast amounts of money. We've got something similar with AWS costs. We want to show you as a program how you're doing on costs, but the crucial thing about this is the drop-down that allows you to go and sneak on what the other teams are doing. If you see another team that's doing really well, you sort of think, I might need to buck my ideas up. And we also try and focus on moving people to do serverless, for example. Timely, you just need to get people at the point where they're going to pay attention, which is normally after they realize they have a problem, but before they've spent time fixing it. There's nothing worse than doing something and then the tooling team says, oh yeah, we're about to do this. Well, I'd rather know that before I spent 3 weeks on it. Our security team have a really nice, concise thing about what you do in the event of a security incident, but the best thing about this is that if someone goes into Slack and says, I have lost my laptop, Slackbot puts this in. So it's like, I know exactly who I need to get in touch with. And that's the time where you're quite stressed and that's what you want to know, which is basically who do I contact. So this is about realizing that for an empowered team, you don't have a captive market. You're competing with external people and you're competing with teams doing it themselves. So if your tool isn't easy to use, well documented, and cost effective, why should developers choose you? But actually, you should have a massive advantage here because you're in the organization. You only have to build something that works for your development teams. That should be simpler than having to build something that fits everybody. So, you really should be able to use these kind of cues to provide something that people will use. So if you want to know more, I did a longer version of this talk earlier this year. It's available online, or feel free to come and ask me questions about it.